The colonial education narrative has consistently taught, and still teaches, Africans that their ancestors relied solely on oral traditions to transmit knowledge and memory. Sadly, Africans in the so-called West, Central, East, and Southern African regions are unaware of writing systems in these parts of Africa. Furthermore, any attempt to mention Kemet as our true origin is quickly snuffed out by Egyptologists, vested in keeping this knowledge hidden. However, the truth is far more profound. Not only were Africans the very people who introduced writing to humanity, but indigenous writing systems have also been present on the continent from ancient times to the modern era. In their flawed attempt to claim Kemet as a civilization, not founded by Africans, Egyptologists have essentially exposed their willful ignorance about Africa's history. In this video, we will expose writing systems outside Kemet. This will come as a huge surprise to many. A crucial point to establish from the start is that numerous African languages possess inherently native terms for the acts of reading and writing. It is also worth noting that these words existed before the European and Arab conquest of Africa. In Lingala, reading is kotanga, while writing is kokoma. For Bambara speakers, kalan translates to reading, and sebe to writing. In Fulani, jangugol stands for reading, and windugol for writing. This demonstrates that Africa is home to vocabulary for reading and writing that is devoid of Arabic or European origins. The existence of these words raises a pertinent question. How could African languages have specific terms for reading and writing if these activities were not practiced? This basic linguistic observation strongly suggests that reading and writing were familiar practices in Africa, independent of outside influences. We will delve into the known writing systems of the continent. Many people believe that African languages either don't have a written form or only started being written down recently. This misconception comes from the widespread use of European languages in Africa, a result of colonial history and other influences. However, Africa is actually home to the world's earliest and most diverse collections of written languages. These ancient writing systems date back to prehistoric times and can be found across the continent. In comparison, the oldest writing in Europe, which is Greek, only started being used around 1400 BC, with evidence from a clay tablet found in Greece. Interestingly, this writing system was influenced by even older scripts from Africa. The earliest writing in Asia, known as Proto-Cuneiform, dates back to around 3000 BC, from texts found at Jemdet Nasr. But the oldest African writing systems are known to be several centuries older than that, highlighting Africa's rich and long history of written communication. Egyptian civilization is often downplayed due to its African roots. This diminishing view arose during the periods of the slave trade and colonialism, where Western powers profited immensely. To justify the enslavement and exploitation of African people, a narrative was constructed that portrayed them as lesser, uncivilized beings. This narrative served the dual purpose of rationalizing slavery and establishing white dominance as a natural order, a view that persists in some ideologies today. To maintain this skewed hierarchy, history was rewritten to minimize the contributions of Black and African civilizations, particularly Egypt. This involved several key strategies: denying the African identity of ancient Egypt and instead associating it with the Middle East or an ambiguous Orient. This helped to create a mental separation between the advanced civilizations of North Africa and the rest of the continent, misattributing the achievements of ancient Egypt to civilizations considered white or light-skinned, often placing them outside Africa. Elevating Mesopotamia as the cradle of civilization, aligning with Western interests and the Christian tradition, which was dominant in the West during the 19th and early 20th centuries. The choice of Mesopotamia, with its significant contributions such as the development of writing and urban society, was influenced by its connection to the Semitic peoples who played a large role in the foundation of Judeo-Christian traditions. This alignment served to reinforce a narrative that placed Western civilization and its roots at the forefront of human achievement, sidelining the rich history and contributions of African civilizations like Egypt. According to ancient texts from Greek authors like Diodorus of Sicily and Phoenician records in Sanchoniathon's writings, Africa particularly through its Nubio-Egyptian cultures, is credited with the invention of writing. This assertion was further supported by Professor Gunther Dreyer's discovery at Abydos, in southern Egypt, where he found the oldest known writing, dating back at least 5,500 years, around 3400 BCE, predating any known writing in Sumer. Professor Dreyer, highlighted in a Reuters news article from December 15, 1998, stated that Egyptian writing was far more advanced than any form of writing in Mesopotamia at that time, which hadn't yet seen the arrival of the Sumerians. Regarding the first Sumerian cuneiform tablets, widely recognized as the earliest forms of writing and literature, they are identified not as literary texts, but as accounting tools for merchants. Cheikh Anta Diop notes in Nations Nègres et Culture that these cuneiform tablets primarily contain commercial records like receipts and invoices, lacking any detailed information on the political, social, or spiritual organization of early Sumer. This realization underscores the importance of distinguishing between the mere recording of transactions and the broader concept of writing that conveys complex information. Furthermore, the presence of mathematical artifacts in Africa, such as the 37,000-year-old Lebombo bone from Eswatini, formerly Swaziland, and the 25,000-year-old Ishango bone from the Democratic Republic of Congo, predates these Mesopotamian tablets, emphasizing Africa's long history of mathematical and written expression. Let's start with the Bamoun script of Cameroon. These artifacts are accessible in Cameroonian museums today. Research by Diedrich Westermann, further corroborated by Cheikh Anta Diop, reveals that the Egyptian and Bamoun scripts share 7 symbols. Given the Bamoun people's lineage tracing back to Egyptians, it's plausible that this script is a continuation of their ancestral script, carried from the Nile Valley to the banks of the Nun River. This picture shows the Bamoun script dating from the 1920s. The Mende script of Sierra Leone. This writing system comprises 212 symbols. The prevailing account by Western scholars is that it was disclosed in a dream to a Mandingo tailor, Kissimi Kamara, in 1921. However, Diedrich Westermann discovered 15 symbols that the Mende script shares with ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Thus, Kissimi Kamara was not the original creator. The Mende script is indeed a descendant of the Kemetic script, having been present in Sierra Leone since ancient times. The Bete script from Ivory Coast. The creation of the Bete script is often credited to Brulé Bouabré, a knowledgeable individual from the Ivory Coast. In 1948, he devised 448 syllabic signs for his language, even employing them to write stories. This script is pictographic, meaning it utilizes drawings to represent ideas. Further examination, however, reveals links between this script and other older African writing systems, including the Medu Necher. While Brulé Bouabré is recognized for developing the Bete script, it's possible he wasn't its original creator. This is because he had a well-known background in African secret societies, where he likely learned about ancestral writing techniques. The evidence suggests that he may have been drawing from a deeper, older well of knowledge. The roots of the Ge'ez script extend deep into antiquity, with its existence predating the Christian era. As the liturgical language of the Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church, it has played a pivotal role in the religious, cultural, and intellectual history of Ethiopia. The script is believed to have evolved from the Sabaean or South Arabian alphabet, which was introduced to the region through ancient trade routes and cultural exchanges. It is worth noting that the original South Arabian population, the Sabaeans, were dark-skinned individuals. We have covered this in another video. The Nasibidi script, which spans the regions of Nigeria and Cameroon, represents a fascinating and complex form of written communication that has captivated scholars and historians alike. Described by P.A. Talbot as undoubtedly ancient and largely pictographic in nature, this script stands out not only for its age, but also for its unique method of conveying messages through intricate symbols and motifs. The origins of Nasibidi are shrouded in mystery, with its roots deeply embedded in the pre-colonial cultures of the Cross River region. It is a system of symbols that was traditionally used by secret societies, such as the Ekpe Leopard Society and served a range of functions from mundane to judicial and esoteric purposes. Over time, Nsibidi spread beyond its initial confines, evolving into a regional script used for various forms of communication across different communities.
Like I'm black now, nobody discussed that. You see, it was like that. Now, from the 13th century, 13, 14, until now, when we went through slavery, Western civilization makes slavery and colonization, so you don't praise your slave.
The connection between Nsibidi and ancient Egyptian writing, as highlighted by Theophilus Obenga, through the identification of shared symbols, points to a fascinating cross-cultural linkage. This discovery has led some researchers to speculate about the movement of ideas and people between the Nile Valley and West Africa, suggesting a much more interconnected ancient African landscape than previously thought. Indeed, the shared symbols between Nsibidi and ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs could indicate trade, migration, or shared spiritual and cultural practices. The Jikandi script, attributed to the Kikuyu people of Kenya, first documented in 1921, represents a key aspect of their cultural heritage as the country's largest ethnic group. Scholars have found 3 symbols within this script that remarkably resemble those in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, suggesting possible historical connections or similar symbolic developments. During the British colonial era in Kenya, the Kikuyu people were prominent in the resistance against British dominance, notably during the Mau Mau uprising, a pivotal moment in Kenya's quest for independence. British authorities attempted to quell this resistance by pejoratively branding the Kikuyu and their allies as Mau Mau, a term intended to demonize the freedom fighters and belittle their legitimate struggle against colonial oppression. However, this derogatory label fails to acknowledge the Kikuyu's deep-rooted history and cultural richness, which, like many African tribes, traces back to the Nile Valley. We have shown, beyond doubt, that Africans outside ancient Kemet, or what those misguided Western scholars call Egypt, had writing systems before the Arabs and Europeans embarked on their colonization mission in Africa. The writing system known as Medu Neter, which translates to God's words or divine speech in the ancient Kemetic language, is based on an intriguing history. Kemet invented the first writing system about 5,400 years ago. This writing system, one of humanity's oldest, indeed reflects a significant achievement in the intellectual and cultural history of ancient Kemet, or what Western scholars call Egypt, and Nubia. Hieroglyphs, authentic Kemetic name, Medu Neter, were more than mere symbols for communication. They were considered sacred and filled with the power of the gods themselves. This ancient script is the precursor to the Shumom script, used by the Bamun, the Mende script of Sierra Leone, Kenya's Gikandi, the Nsibidi of Nigeria's Efik people, Ethiopia's Ge'ez. It even influenced the development of other writing systems, such as Greek, Arabic, Latin, Cyrillic, Hebrew, Persian, and more. Throughout the Pharaonic era, Kemetic writing evolved through 4 distinct phases. True hieroglyphics, which depicted the world exactly as it was seen. Hieratic script, developed as a quicker and less complex alternative to detailed hieroglyphs due to the challenges and time required to accurately draw each sign. Demotic script, a further simplification accessible to the general population. Meroitic script, the 3rd level of simplification, which was primarily used in Sudan. The numbering system of the pharaohs is equally remarkable. We discussed the Kemetic numbering system predating Arabic numerals in a recent video. See the video description. The Egyptians held the proper hieroglyphic script in such reverence that its understanding was confined to the clergy, transmitted exclusively through initiation rites, and remained beyond the grasp of the general populace. In contrast, in Sudan, both hieroglyphics and their simplified forms were accessible and comprehensible to everyone. This demonstrates that Africa not only played a pivotal role in the origin of writing, but also continued to cultivate this practice long after the decline of the Nile Valley civilizations. The array of writing systems we've highlighted is significant. and it's likely that many more have been lost amidst the turmoil that Africa has faced over the past 500 years. Furthermore, the fact that numerous scripts trace their origins back to the Nile Valley reinforces the importance of this region as a fundamental cradle of identity for the continent. Hence, Africa's rich heritage encompasses not just oral traditions, but a substantial written legacy as well. The idea of Medu Neter being pivotal for a reborn black world touches upon the broader concept of Sankofa in African philosophy. That is, going back to fetch what is at risk of being forgotten. In essence, to reclaim and revitalize one's cultural and historical roots. Stand up, black man and woman. Reclaim your historical narrative. We are the civilizers of the very people who today look down on us. Share this message with your family and friends. Our community deserves to know this hidden truth about the black man of the Nile. Thank you all for sticking through to the end. Until the lions have their own historians, the tales of the hunt will always glorify the hunter.